Hey, what's up, everyone? Thanks for jumping on our podcast tonight. Steve and the Hood present Boston Sports. It's episode number 13. You got my name's Steve Thompson, co-host Chris Blackie. Special guest tonight, WBZ morning sports anchor and a co-host on 98.5 The Sports Hub, Adam Kaufman. Thanks for joining us tonight, Adam. It's pretty awesome.
Happy to, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Talk about the Celtics first.
Sure.
Did you think Tatum was going to be this good this early?
No, I mean, I don't think even Danny Ainge would have told you he thought Jason Tatum would be this good this quickly. And, you know, we know watching this team that much of that has come from opportunity. If Gordon Hayward doesn't go down, if Marcus Morris is healthy to start the year and in shape and doesn't have to deal with the trial and everything else, and Marcus Smart's healthy, I mean, in all likelihood, I don't have a crystal ball, but in all likelihood, Jason Tatum is probably playing 15, 17, maybe 20 minutes a night, certainly not the 35 and starting that he has been doing over the last, 4 games to begin the year. And it's really been a lot of fun, pretty incredible. Pretty incredible to watch.
It's almost like a blessing in disguise, really, with Hayward going down. Yeah, it sucks on many levels, but it's speeding up the process of Tatum and Brown. Especially Tatum, because you kind of expected Brown was going to get minutes, but Tatum's getting that minutes now, and he's just going off. It's a great thing to see from a rookie this early.
Well, and I think that's a lot of what it comes down to. A lot of what the commentary has been, obviously, since the Hayward injury is, okay, well, this sucks clearly, but is it any sort of blessing in disguise? And that's probably the wrong way to term it, because there's no situation at all where it's good that Gordon Hayward got injured, 5 minutes into his Celtics career for presumably the season. But if you want to look at it as something of a silver lining, that it's putting the kids, in Jason Tatum's case, a teenager and third overall pick, and I think Jaylen Brown was already going to have a significant role on this team and be highly dependent upon, but not to the degree that he has been. But those guys. Daniel Tice, Shane Larkin, who's not a rookie, but is obviously playing more than he otherwise would have been. Terry Rozier with Marcus Smart down is taken on an even larger role than envisioned here in his third season. Jabari Bird even wouldn't have been with the team, let alone playing a shutdown role against the Sixers in the third game of the year. Shemi Ojale has had his moments as well. There's, that is kind of the as I put it, kind of silver lining to this whole situation is that you're seeing these younger kids develop faster than they otherwise would have. And look, we're only 4 games in right now as we talk at the moment, so it's a long way to go. But so far, the signs very early have been encouraging, and there's an enthusiasm and an excitement around this team, even if we know, I think we're all educated enough to acknowledge the ceiling for this club isn't what it was with Gordon Hayward, but it could still be an awfully entertaining year.
Oh, no doubt about it. It's one of those things where, can you imagine if the Irvin trade didn't go down and you just had Hayward coming into this thing and he had gotten hurt, how bad things would have been really, really bad.
Well, think about that. If there's no Kyrie Irving, but there is a Gordon Hayward and he gets injured, you figure, you have to consider all of the different things that went into allowing the Celtics to acquire him in the first place. So there's still no Avery Bradley, okay? He's traded away. There's no Kelly Olynyk and a whole bunch of other depth guys that were here, and most people are probably fine with that. But your roster is what it was before the Kyrie Irving trade. So you'd have no Gordon Hayward. You'd have no Isaiah Thomas because he's injured. You'd have Jay Crowder, who's, not, I think nobody would take Jay Crowder over Jason Tatum, obviously. Tatum is on the roster, but he's not playing as much. He's probably not starting. Marcus Smart is out of the lineup right now. Marcus Morris is still out. So you still have a plethora of injuries, and you're lacking really the most reliable, I'm not going to say reliable, that wouldn't be fair, but certainly the most talented offensive presence that you have, while he hasn't necessarily been the most consistent yet. And, of course, I'm talking about Kyrie Irving. I mean, where would this team be in that situation? You could make the argument, and I've tried to, and maybe it's just to make myself feel better, but this team is 2-2. It could be 4-0 if those first two games ended, 3, 4, 5 minutes before they actually did. Celtics had a lead late into the fourth quarter of both of those contests, somehow in Cleveland after rallying itself following the Hayward injury, and then against Milwaukee that next night at home on the second leg of a back-to-back. So it could be 4-0, and maybe we're even talking about this team a little bit differently, but instead it's 500, and it's just the reality.
Yeah, I mean, that team showed me something when Hayward went down and they fought like they did. That was pretty impressive.
It was, absolutely. I didn't think they had it in them. I mean, I was discouraged as anybody else. I wasn't going to turn the game off, but I wasn't at all surprised when they fell down by 18 and figured, you're looking at a healthy Cavs team on the other side. It seemed to me the 20 to 30 point loss was inevitable. I mean, how do you put one foot in front of the other if you're the Celtics at that point when all of your training camp, your preseason games, your weeks, months of excitement has all led into that moment, and you get effectively a 5-minute season. Gordon Hayward goes down, and that's it. How the Celtics came back to take a lead in that game, even by 1 point, and had a chance to win the thing is beyond me. I still can't fathom it.
Yeah, well, it was 3 minutes left, and they were up, and I was talking to Chris. I'm like, oh, my God, they're going to win it.
Right.
There's a lot of resolve on that club, and it really is it's a trademark of a Brad Stevens team. We've seen it in this is his 5th year here. We've seen it every year he's been here, even a few years ago where, the team won 40 games in his second year and it snuck into the playoffs after, the trades for Isaiah Thomas and Jake Crowder. It was an entertaining, hard-working, effort-filled team. Was it the best, most talented team you'd come across? Of course not. There's a reason they got swept right out of the playoffs in the first round by Cleveland. But you knew they played hard, and that, for that reason, they were fun. And now as they've gotten more talented over the years, that mindset has remained, and that was the case, obviously, opening night.
How do you think Kyrie's done so far?
What's that?
How do you think Kyrie's done in the first 4 games?
Not up to the standard that was expected, maybe would be the best way to put it. It wouldn't be fair to say he hasn't done well. He is averaging 20 points, 7 assists, something like that. But, he's not giving you what fans want. And that's okay in the sense that he's adjusting, obviously, to a new city, a new fan base, a new culture, a new environment, all new teammates. And also it can't be ignored that this isn't what he was working toward. This isn't what he thought he was getting after, his arrival. And I think there's, you can argue, and as I have, that there hasn't been a full buy-in to Brad Stevens' offensive system yet, and there's still a little too much isolation, not enough ball movement, and that type of thing. I think that's true. But I also think when the proverbial feces hits the fan, if you will, I think you kind of default back to what you know, and what he knows is how he played in Cleveland, and he doesn't have talent around him to the level of LeBron James, who's one of the top 2 players in the world, even past the age of 30. And that in mind, I think it's affected him. I think it's part of the reason that you saw the reaction to the fan in Philadelphia the other day. I think he's frustrated. He's a little anxious. He's a little fed up, and this isn't what he thought. I'm not going to say signed up for. He was traded, but this isn't what he thought he was getting when he came to Boston. This team had another all-star that was going to score 20-plus points a game, and now it doesn't, and has to rely on a bunch of the kids. And a rebuild, in certain terms, but it is not a team that most now expect is going to challenge for a spot in the NBA Finals, when before that felt very realistic.
Definitely. Like going back to when Hayward was rumored to come here and, actually was a free agent, I'm pretty sure it was you who was breaking the news, like legitly in Boston, if I remember right?
Yeah.
And people were talking like, well, you don't know. Now, we know you're connected and everything else. Was it a hunch going into the off-season that he was going, or was it kind of like you were getting little messages, or however you came up with the information? Was that like given ahead of time, or just a hunch and it just kind of came to in the end?
No, I mean, obviously there were sources, and you talk to people, and you know, you get little bits here and there, and you connect the dots, and it became everybody knew. I certainly wasn't the only one that the Celtics were going to target Gordon Hayward in free agency. That was long discussed.
Right.
You know, the interesting wrinkle was obviously the Paul George factor and whether or not that was going to be realistic, which I think it was right up until the moment that the Pacers took, you know, pennies on the dollar, as far as I'm concerned, to just trade into Oklahoma City and not keep him in the Eastern Conference. And you know, had they just waited out the Celtics timeline when they acquired Gordon Hayward in free agency come July 4th, you know, I think there was a trade, a very realistic trade, you know, if not fully in place, but, you know, right there in the scope of being negotiated to complete that deal, bring George to Boston, and you know, you don't have probably Kyrie Irving at that point, but your situation looks a little bit different. Obviously, that didn't all come to fruition, but it was all pretty fascinating for a little while.
Definitely. It's funny because they have a lot of comparison with Tatum and Pierce, and I could see it, and I've watched basketball and sports in general for over 30 years, and they do have a similar, you know, style of play. In the first 4 games in, the stats are almost identical for the two of them. It's kind of scary in a way, but obviously it's 4 games. Pierce has got multiple years of doing what he does. You just got to hope that Tatum can keep it up and see what happens going forward. But 4 games in, you're going to definitely like what's going on with him.
Yeah, the comparisons are real, at least in certain ways. Whether it's the step back jumper, the mid range jumper, the footwork, the sort of the general build that they have. You know, neither one is ripped to shreds or anything like that. They kind of have that lanky. I'm not going to say soft, but they're not, you know, overly muscular looking guys. That, you know, they've got the 3-point range. They have the ability to rebound. They're not afraid to attack the basket. They both, you know, came in as decent shooters. You know, Pierce obviously improved as time went on when he grew throughout his career. But, you know, what Tatum is doing as a 19-year-old is exciting, and it's real. And it there were a lot of people, myself included, that griped about Danny Ainge trading away that first overall pick and the right to select Markelle Fultz and moving down to number 3 and getting Jason Tatum, who he always has maintained is the guy that he would have taken at 1, even if he kept the pick. And it looks like, again, 4 games in, incredibly small sample, but it looks like Ainge nailed it.
Scary how that works out. Now, if you had to take just an educated guess between Brown and Tatum, who you think in the end is going to have a more impressive NBA career?
Boy, I don't know. I really don't, and it's a great question. It's something I know a lot of people are thinking about. I think the offensive ceiling is higher for Tatum, although you know, what we've seen out of Jaylen Brown these first 4 games has looked awfully impressive too. He's led the team in scoring, I think, in 3 out of the 4, and you know, and is averaging, you know, in excess of 20 points a game. He's been terrific, and he just literally yesterday turned 21 years old. So he's got a bright future ahead of him as well. But you're not seeing some of the inconsistencies that you saw when he was a rookie last year. He continues to be a very good defensive player. Could one day be a great defensive player, lockdown, all defensive team caliber guy. As it is, he's certainly a better defensive player than Jason Tatum. So a lot can change, as we know. We're talking about a guy that's 4 games into his second year and 4 games, you know, into his career. But if I had to guess, I would say Tatum, even though I know the sample size is not what it has been for Brown at this point. But point being, I think they're both going to be all-stars, and I think they both have the potential to be much more than that, you know, perennial all-stars, potentially superstars, and we'll find out. But it's exciting. You know, we haven't had, I can't even think of the last time. You probably need to go back to like the late 70s, early 80s to have 2 guys of this caliber, or at least with this kind of excitement and hype around them, at those ages that are on the Celtics at the same time. It's really remarkable. Usually, I mean, we're used to 9 years of Doc Rivers before Brad Stevens got here, where rookies don't even play, let alone what we're seeing right now. So it's really cool.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. It's only a matter of time before Stevens gets Coach of the Year. It's got to happen. I think he's going to win multiple when it's all said and done. I love him as a coach.
I hope so.
He says all the right things. To me, he's the best youngest coach in the NBA. I mean, there's a case he could be even a top 5 candidate right now throughout all of the NBA as your head coach. I feel, anyways.
Yeah, I think if look, I've been trying to make the case for him for Coach of the Year for 2 or 3 years running at this point, so you're not going to get any disagreement out of me. But I think that even if he doesn't, win that award, this year, next year, whatever, I agree with you that I think he'll get it eventually, and I think he'll be deserving of it. And I think that if you were to, anonymously poll, all NBA GMs, you can pick one head coach right now to lead your franchise. A couple would probably take him number 1, maybe, but most people would take Popovich first, Steve Kerr, second. There are a couple others as well. But my point being, Brad Stevens, I would be willing to bet, in the case of most, is top 5, and I do agree with that classification. I think he is, even though he hasn't quote unquote won a significant margin yet, though he did take a team to the conference finals last year. I think he is a top 5 team or top 5 coach in the NBA.
Well, a lot of people say, well, Popovich, he's like the gold standard as NBA coaches. He said that he studies Brad Stevens' set plays. That's all you need to know about the respect of Brad Stevens throughout the league, like you said. I mean, that just speaks volumes by itself.
Yeah, and those two have spoken very highly of one another, and I wouldn't be surprised, and you guys will remember this when, if and when it happens. Greg Popovich right now is going to be leading Team USA, and I think after that, I think Brad Stevens will probably wind up being an assistant on his staff, and I think at that point in time, it'll be setting up the chain reaction for Brad Stevens to be the head coach of the national team. I think he has that kind of cachet, notoriety, respect around the NBA and around the basketball community, and I think we're, Boston, Danny Ainge, very lucky to have plucked this guy out of Butler, and it's not even just luck. I mean, they knew what they were doing. They didn't luck into Brad Stevens. They knew what they were doing when they targeted him, and I think when all is said and done, there's going to be at least another banner up in those rafters with Stevens being one of the guys to thank for it.
Oh, no doubt. It's funny you say that about him being the national coach, because I was just about to go there, but you beat me to the punch on it. That was a good call. I think in the end, you're looking at multiple banners when, everything finally gels at the right time, experience, the Warriors slow down, that type of stuff.
Yeah,
you're going to have some banners coming up for sure.
That team. I hope so.
I'd say probably maybe 3 to 4 years. That's what I'm guessing.
Well, it'll take a little while, or some injuries, obviously, for as you said, the Warriors slow down. But those guys, if they stay together, are going to age eventually, and that's part of why a lot of the people have said, okay, you've got Kyrie Irving here, you got Al Horford here, you got Gordon Hayward here, you have a window, but by the same token, look at this youth. Look at Jaylen Brown at 21 now. Look at Jason Tatum at 19. Look at Marcus Smart if he stays at 23. At Terry Rozier at 23. At another couple of really good projected draft picks coming their way within the next couple of years. There's another window there for 2020, 2021, and beyond. I mean, hell, Jason Tatum is 7 years away from his prime. That's absurd to even think about. So so there could be many great years ahead in Boston sports as it concerns the parquet.
So do you think they're going to add anybody to the roster now, or do you think they'll wait till closer to the trade deadline?
It depends what happens, obviously, with the DPE, that disabled player exception, and whether or not the Celtics recoup the $8+ million they can get in insurance, effectively, for the fact that Hayward went down, it's going to be lost for the majority, if not the entire year. And if they trade for a guy who's in the last year of his contract, or they're able to pull in a free agent, but there aren't a lot of guys out there, I don't think, at this moment that are available. So it's kind of a long-winded way of saying, one, I don't know, two, never count out Danny Ainge, and three, they got enough hard work right now trying to get everybody on their same page after having their whole world turned upside down on opening night, that I don't think they're concerned with adding more bodies at this point.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like you said, they still got to have everyone that's here gel. There's only 4 guys on the roster from last year, so.
Yep.
Which, just thinking about that's pretty crazy in itself. Eastern Conference Finals basically blows it up.
Yeah, 53 wins, number 1 seed in the East, and like you said, trip to the conference finals. But the key thing there is they weren't competitive. Not really.
Right.
And yeah, Isaiah Thomas was hurt, and there were some other guys banged up, but that team still had a ceiling. And Danny Ainge, ownership, Brad Stevens, everybody knew it, which is why they elected to do what they did. And the only guys, obviously, they brought back were Brown and Smart and Horford and Rozier, guys you can really continue to build around.
It's weird because with the Celtics, when it comes to the Golden State Warriors, yeah, the talent's not the same. But the Celtics don't care. They're almost oblivious to the Golden State because they always play them tough every single time. They might not always win, but they're hanging around all the time.
Yeah, that's been the case the last few years. It seems like it's always decided by single digits, whether in Boston or whether out in Oracle, and it really has been kind of crazy. Celtics are really the only team that can make that claim. Now, what would happen in a series like the NBA Finals? I don't know that you would see that, not with this current group anyway. But
right.
It's a nice feather in the cap anyway.
Definitely.
Yeah, they were the team that ended their home winning streak, right?
Yeah, they were. So. That's right. And it was 40-something games or whatever it was, or 33 maybe. I don't know. It's something absurd.
Well, they're considered one of the best teams of all times. I'll tell you what, I would still take the 86 Celtics over them, even the 87 Celtics. That's where I grew up. Me and Steve grew up in that era.
Would. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how historians would feel, but
yeah,
I think if you take Bird, McHale, and Chief down low, I think they would eat up Golden State's front court. I think that'd be a total mismatch.
Yeah, it's hard to say. The game's changed,
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't have the kind of outside presence back then that you do now, and the reliance on it, and just the, centers aren't what they were, and it's, the game has evolved so much from those days to where it is now. You can argue whether or not that's for the better, but the fact is the game is just different, and so it'd be tough to match up those teams, or even, somewhere in the middle, if you were matching up those Celtics with, one of Jordan's championship Bulls teams, or one of those Bulls teams with the Warriors. These are just different eras of basketball where the game was played a certain way that it's just not now.
Yeah, like would clotheslines be allowed?
Oh, God bless McHale. One of my favorites of all time.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
You couldn't stop the guy in the post. He was just an absolute nightmare for people. And then James Harden talking about McHale, it's like, get a grip. You might be in the Hall of Fame one day. McHale's considered one of the greatest forwards of all time. He's already sitting in Springfield.
Yeah,
he can talk.
Not a lot of respect.
I mean, come on.
Not a lot of respect among current players, unfortunately, for the legends. I think that's true across most sports. Most players, anyway. There are exceptions, but it is a shame. You'd think there'd be a little bit more respect for history.
Definitely.
So switch gears a little bit. How do you feel about the Alex Cora signing?
Sure. No, I can hit that, and then I got a jet. But I do like it. I like it a lot. I think it was the right guy for the Red Sox to hire. I wasn't interested in a retread like Ron Gardenhire or Brad Ausmus. Not to say that Ausmus won't land on his feet or Gardenhire won't have success in Detroit or something like that, but I just think Alex Cora comes in with a familiarity with this market, with this organization, with the media, with players that are in the system being bilingual, having the ability to obviously communicate in ways and relate to a younger mix of players differently than John Farrell could. I mean, expectations are going to be high, even though this team was eliminated in the first round of the playoffs in convincing fashion each of the last couple of years. It's still a club that won back-to-back AL East titles and has a Yankees team that's on the rise and a lot of talent and a lot of expensive talent on that roster. So they're going to be, there's not going to be much of an adjustment period granted by people for Alex Cora. He's going to have to come in and hit the ground running, but fortunately, I think he's got the right head on his shoulders. He's prepared for it. He's smart. He knows the game. He's been a coach. He's been, around it all, be it as a player or in this bench coach capacity. He's managed over, in the Winter League, which isn't nearly the same thing, but yes, he's done it in that capacity. So he's a baseball lifer, and I think a lot of that is going to translate to success in Boston.
Definitely. We'll just have to see how he does. The only thing I have concern about is it's his first actual head manager position, but he knows what it's like. So just got to hope for the best with him. No question. I don't really love the signing, but I don't hate it either. I mean, who's really out there this year? So like you said, familiarity. I'm a Sox fan, so I got to hope for the best. But at the same time, being a Sox fan, you kind of expect the worst. So it kind of goes with the territory.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of happy they went young instead of old.
Well, more relatable, obviously, to the younger guys than someone like a Ron Garnhire would be. So it should work well, and he's already got support in that clubhouse. He's got Dustin Pedroia in there, who is a staunch supporter of Alex Cora. So I really think it'll be a good thing.
Yeah, me too. So before we let you go, Adam, where can everybody find you?
Sure. Best place is probably on Twitter. You guys know that. It's at Adam M. Kaufman, and from there, most of the stuff that I do is winds up getting tweeted about for the most part. But whether on the air at WBZ or on the Sports Hub or over at DraftKings, I'm all over the place trying to stay busy.
Awesome. Yeah, man, we really appreciate you coming on with us tonight.
Happy
Definitely
to, guys.
Talking down the road.
Absolutely. Definitely. No, I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. All right. Have a good night, man.
Have a good one.
All right, guys. You too.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah, so a little bit on the core. I guess I was kind of lukewarm on, them picking him, but, definitely glad they picked him over like a Gardenhire or, Tony La Russa or some retread like that.
Jesus. La Russa?
Oh, there was talk for a while that they were going to go old.
Oh, my God.
I just hope he puts the right people around him.
I really felt it was going to be Osmus just because of familiarity with Dave. But,
right.
You just got to hope for the best with Cora, like I said earlier with you and Adam. I don't love it, but I don't hate it.
Right.
It's kind of like, I don't know, there's just an uneasy feeling about this being his first time as a manager that's got me a little uneasy because of Boston and, well, frankly, being a Red Sox fan. Like I said earlier, it goes with the territory.
Yeah, I think we were born worrying about something.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I was born when, Bucky Dent, I'll be nice, and I want to say something else, but I was in my crib, and I'm pretty sure I was awful pissy when that was going on.
Right. So there's some
the future.
Go ahead.
You just got to hope for the best with him. I think he's going to translate good with the youth. He's respected by a lot of the players around the MLB, and let's see what happens. Let's see what happens in the off season. Who they're going to bring in, who they're going to re-sign. I mean, the Pedroia injury certainly changes things for them going forward.
Yeah, he's out. He had surgery today. He's out minimum 7 months. So cartilage reconstruction, I believe, is how they termed it. So that sounds brutal.
Yeah, it's a little uneasy, don't it?
Yeah. So like minimum 7, maybe 12 months. So he really, if it doesn't rehab well, he could be out for the year. So they're going to have to get somebody. Nunez is a possibility. I haven't really heard anything about how his knee is.
Right. So that's a little concerning in itself. How's his knee?
Yeah.
The way it looked like he's going to need surgery too, so.
Right. Yeah.
What are you going to do?
And they need another bat. They got to do something with the lineup. It's not good enough.
Definitely. Nope. You definitely need a bat to strike fear into your opponents. And right now, they don't have that bat.
No. I know both of us would love Stanton. It's just, well, we definitely don't agree on who we would give up to get him.
Well, I mean, hypothetically, like I told you earlier, I like him. I like Benintendi. I don't want to have to get rid of him. But that's something that they're probably going to want to happen in order for the state to move. They're going to want prospects and up-and-coming stars. So who's that for the Sox? Benintendi? Mookie? Bogarts is young, even though I don't consider him to be an upcoming star. I mean, I'm very frustrated with him.
Right.
But that's what you're looking at. You're looking at top prospects and 1 or 2 starters, as is right now.
Yeah,
whether that happens or not, I don't know.
Yeah, I would be more willing to give him Xander, Jackie Bradley instead of Benintendi. I mean, the kid's 21.
Oh, I definitely want to get rid of him.
Yeah.
But if it came down to that's who you have to give up to get Stanton, you're saying no. That's a deal breaker.
Yeah, because the whole opt-outs in his contract scare the crap out of me.
Yeah, I mean, that's the part that's a little bit uneasy about it.
Yeah, so you give up, a few of your up-and-coming potential studs for Stanton, and then in, I believe it's 2020, it's just like, all right, boys, it was fun. See you later.
Right.
So, that would be great.
Something that would, right, it'd be something to worry about for sure.
Yeah.
But they're going to need a bat, so whether they go up, I mean, Stanton's the hot name, basically.
Right.
Everyone's going, and a lot of people are already assuming this is a done deal. There's no guarantees when it comes to that being a done deal.
Yeah, he was on Jimmy Kimmel last night. Did you see that?
Yeah. And that's where a lot of speculation came when we talked about, I'd like to be a DH during the day games.
Right. It's like, wow, you're killing me.
Wow. I only can imagine who he's talking about right now. He's got to have a short list. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's got to have a list of where he wants. And this isn't the first off-season or even season that Stanton's been tied to the Red Sox. This has been going on for 5 years.
Yeah,
That's where everyone's saying, he's coming, he's coming, he's coming.
Right. It started before he signed that big deal.
Right. Saying, I don't know if they ever actually talked if it ever gets to that level, or is just speculation from all the people.
Right. Yeah.
Hard to say.
Yeah, definitely hard to say. But they definitely need a bat, whether it's him, Hosmer, JD Martinez.
Right.
There's a few.
There's a few. They need something, though, because as is isn't good enough.
No, Dave will do something.
And then, one thing that kind of pisses me off is this whole, the Yankees aren't supposed to be there, they're not this and not that. Second highest payroll in all of baseball goes to the Yankees. Highest in the American League. So don't give me that bullshit if you're not supposed to be there. You spent money. You made trades. You brought Frazier in. You brought Kahn in. You brought people into the thing to make your team better, to go for a push for it now. So don't give me that bullcrap about, it's just a bridge year. No, it's not. You play for the Yankees. You play for the Sox. Any of the big market teams, there's no such thing as a bridge year. You're going for it every year.
Yeah, it's definitely disingenuous for sure.
Definitely. It's just like a cop-out. Like, you see fans talking back and forth. Well, we got the American League Championship Series, but you guys are already home. You know, your seasons were done at the first thing. Congratulations. You made it one round further. You got to Game 7, but you didn't win the thing. And if you want to talk about winning anything, the Red Sox still won the division this year, so they won something. You won nothing at all.
Yeah, I think we think the same way. If you don't win at all, it doesn't really matter.
Oh, no, absolutely. I agree with you all the way there, but if you really want to get technical, the Red Sox actually did win something this year. They won the division. Didn't win nothing.
Oh, that's a good point.
Don't give me that crap.
Most of the time, nobody remembers the first loser.
No, exactly. Exactly. You want to move on to football?
Yeah, let's talk Pats. I was at the Atlanta Falcons game. Pretty good game, man. It's Sunday night. It's probably the loudest it's ever been since I've been there. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, and all the fog came through. I'm sitting there saying to myself, you know, this is such Steve luck. Goes to the game and it gets foggy and you can't even see in front of him. Could it get any much worse than that?
It wasn't too bad. I think it probably looked worse on TV.
On TV, it was really distracting.
Right. But yeah, I mean,
TV.
there really wasn't any fog at all till almost halftime, and then it kind of came in.
Where you were sitting, I mean, could you still see everything well, or was it places where you're like, what the hell's going on here?
No, you could see it. I mean, I was in the 200, so I could see it.
Right. You just wonder how the people up top could see it looking down.
Oh, it was probably little for the people way up.
Some of those seats, like I'm looking at Gillette, and they have like the 5 rows up top, where it's like your seat's right there, and then you look over and you got nothing. That's going to be an uncomfortable feeling.
I think it was Mike Giardi that did a post on Twitter about his picture from the press box, and it was like all fog.
Right. Incredible. But on the Patriots now, they got this thing going on with Hightower where he's going to be out Sunday. Marvelous, of course.
Right. Yeah, he's out at least Sunday, maybe longer with that shoulder injury.
Yeah, Jeff Howe reported it tonight that they think he's going to be out longer than expected.
So probably 3 weeks.
You just hope it's not like a 5-6 week thing.
No. Yeah, I'd like to have him back for Denver. They could use him in Denver.
Denver's the house of horrors, no matter how good or bad they are. There's just something about that stadium that there's just something about that place where it's just a black hole for them.
Right.
But they're spinning in the right direction right now.
No, I like it. I mean, definitely Sunday was the best the defense has played all year. Right. You know, stopping them twice on 4th down, I believe. The offense still struggled a little bit. I think they're still trying to deal with Edelman being out. But that's going to take some time.
I thought they looked pretty good.
Yeah, well, a couple times they didn't get it in the end zone, like from the 10 field goals.
Maybe you're picking up on stuff a little bit more at the stadium than on TV. I guess it's possible.
Yeah, I could be a little bit picky, too. Because, beginning of the year, everyone said they were scoring 35 a game, so...
Right, well, I mean, I think the offense is starting to click myself. I mean, they're not doing everything right constantly, but I think they're already starting to adapt. They're already starting to adapt with life without Edelman.
Yeah, even until like mid-November, I think it'll be perfect. We're getting close. The lines, both lines have been a lot better lately. Alan Branch, since he got sat down for that game against Tampa, since he's been back, he's been pretty good.
Right, they evidently pissed him off enough to get him going.
No, and Butler's been pretty good the last couple of games too. So.
Right, we're getting that time of year where, you start to see what you really got, and this is Patriot football.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
The running game was
stick
awesome.
You stick around for a couple of months, and then we get to where the big boys start to play.
Right. Well, I mean, it probably
Yeah,
helped, too, that I dropped Gillisley from my fantasy team. I think that helped.
Oh, an out-and-out release?
No, I got him on the bench, but I'll probably try to trade him or release him. But, yeah.
And then he'll go off naturally.
Oh, that's fine.
I mean, look, I had Cooks on my team. Now look what's going on with him. I traded him to you because I can't, the Chris curse is real. No matter what anyone wants to try telling me, it's real. You know it's real. You know me 30 years. You know the jinx is there.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
And now look, he's performing well. And I was talking to Murph on Twitter. He's a cool dude. You'll be hearing him next week probably. Hopefully.
Yeah.
You'll hear him coming up anyways. But anyways, I was pretty much talking about, his cutback plays. He's doing that a lot now, using his speed to back up the defensive backs, and he's cutting back for the ball. And him and Brady have got that working right now, almost to a science.
Good. This takes a little bit to get used to each other.
Right. They'll be okay. It's obviously looking like it's going to be another showdown with Pittsburgh. Just seems like they're destined. Because for one reason or another, Pittsburgh owns Kansas City.
Right. Yeah, they own Kansas City and we own Pittsburgh.
Exactly. Kansas City gives us a hard time every time we play them.
Yeah, well, Pittsburgh's got some turmoil going on with Martavius Bryant. They already came out today and said he's on the scout team and he's not playing Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah, he's complaining about not catching the ball.
Talk about a fall from grace in that offense.
Right. Yeah, he's definitely a threat. So.
I mean, they got Bell and they got Antonio. Who do you think he's going to be? Does you think he's going to be better than them?
He's a typical diva receiver that always wants the rock. So.
Right.
So, I mean, to his credit, he's pretty good when he gets it. So.
Right.
I hope they have turmoil the rest of the year.
Hopefully.
I
wouldn't mind seeing them. This has been such a funny year in football. It's normally at this time you're already seeing the breakaway.
Right.
But everyone's still very close together and the standings. It's really something to behold. I haven't seen anything quite like this in a very long time.
No, me either. Like 1 week you're, like you said, 4 or 5 teams look really, really good, and then the next week they go out and throw up a stinker. So you don't really know.
Like this game coming up against San Diego, it has potential to be a great game. San Diego's coming in hot. The Patriots have won 3 in a row. So something's going to have to give one way or another. You have to put pressure on Rivers. You can't let him sit back there and have all the time in the world. And their offensive line is playing way better than it has in recent memory. They have weapons. They got Allen. They got Melvin Gordon, who's one of the best halfbacks in the game. Hunter Henry's a legit tight end. Can't sleep on Gates, even though he's getting up there in age. I mean, it's going to be a good game.
It'll be interesting to see who they take away. I think they'll probably try to take away Gordon.
You would think so. You think they'd zero in on Gordon and just let the rest do what they've got to do. Throw someone on Keenan Allen with safety over the top.
Yep.
And that's what the Patriots and Belichick does well, and he's done it all the way back from when he was a defensive coordinator. He takes away your best piece.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this Sunday, when you're at the game, well, the defense still does well. They're heading in the right direction.
Right. They're going to have their hands full, but I think they should do it. It's going to be a close game. It's definitely not going to be a rout.
Yeah, they should definitely win it. They're at home.
But that's the thing. You expect to win at home, but they lost to Carolina and they got smashed against the Chiefs. So Gillette's one of the hardest places to play in all of football. It's got to be probably top 3, right? You would think.
Yeah, especially when it gets colder.
To me, the worst place I would want to play as a player would be Arrowhead.
Right,
That
in the playoffs, yeah.
Wow, I don't want any part of Arrowhead in the playoffs.
No, me either.
I don't
No.
Nothing to do with that place. You already proven you're going to Pittsburgh and win, so
Right.
I'm not worried about it. Ideally, you're the number 1 seed, and it's, let's get it on, let's come home, and let's see what you got.
Oh, yeah.
Ideally.
So Gilmore's back at practice. They haven't said if he's going to play Sunday or not, so when he does come back, hopefully he comes back and plays well. If not, he's going to be sitting on the bench with Batamosi and Jonathan Jones playing well, Butler as well. So Gilmore doesn't, if he doesn't produce, he'll be on the bench.
Right. I mean, who the hell saw that coming? I certainly didn't. Did you see something about Deron Harmon having like a meltdown in the locker room today, swearing at reporters?
Oh, that was Patrick Chung. Yeah, they asked.
Patrick Chung. Okay, it wasn't Harmon. Right. Good call.
Basically, they were asking why Gilmore wasn't talking, and basically he told reporters to F off. It's like, whoa.
That probably isn't the wisest thing to do. I mean, I get the frustrations and whatnot, but don't be surprised if you got called in the Belichick's office over that.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, we'll never hear about it, but
no,
I like how he's
I would be willing to bet. Right. I'd be willing to bet, though, he got his ass chewed out, though, I bet.
Yeah.
Because he's old school still. Belichick don't care. It's his way or no way. It don't matter how good you are.
No, it's his way or the highway.
It doesn't matter. Exactly. That's what part of the reason I love about him. He's been around a long time. Who's going to question him at this point?
Yeah.
I mean, if you question him, you're a damn fool. You haven't been paying attention.
Yeah.
Records, Super Bowls, everything about Belichick is, what are you going to do? I mean, what are you going to question him on?
Nah, Batamosi. The corner, Batamosi, they traded a 6th-round pick. He was supposed to come over and play special teams.
Right.
He's
exactly.
he works his butt off. He prepares well and he produces. So, jeez.
To put this in things in perspective with Belichick, his game plan as a defensive coordinator for the Giants versus the Bills in the Super Bowl is in the Hall of Fame. Just his game plan, as far as that, just that alone, he's probably one of the best defensive minds of all time when it comes to defense.
Right.
He's certainly up there with Buddy Ryan, who some consider to be the greatest of all time when it comes to defense. He's way up there. Buddy Ryan, him, Belichick. Belichick, when a push comes to shove, is probably the greatest coach of all time.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Even over Lombardi. But you would never hear that out of Belichick's mouth. It never happened.
Oh, God, no. No.
Like we've had talks in the past about, renaming the Lombardi Trophy. I don't see that ever happening. But I wouldn't be surprised down the road when it's all said and done that Coach of the Year becomes the Bill Belichick Award.
Yeah, that or like AFC Championship Trophy or something. Something like that.
Right. Gotta give him his due. I mean, Canton is just a foregone conclusion. You don't even speculate about that.
Right.
I mean, can you imagine if he didn't get in?
Oh, that'd be
how asinine that would be. Wow.
Close the place down.
It'd be pretty good. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they do some strange things, but that would be. Wow, I'm lost for words just even thinking about the idea. It's how crazy it is.
Right. So you want to touch on the Bruins a little bit?
Yeah, we can if you want. I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about with them other than they just injured, they're young, and just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, and they're injured. I mean, it's good to have Bergeron back. He definitely makes a difference. We obviously already knew that, but
Right.
Krejci's out at least through this weekend now with a back injury. Not really surprised, unfortunately.
Yeah, that stinks, but you're kind of getting used to it at this point.
Right. Yeah, I was so hopeful for him coming into the year that he was going to get, rejuvenated playing with the young guys, and he just can't stay healthy.
No, he can't. It's just too bad, but it is what it is with him, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It stinks.
Yeah.
I loved him for a long time, but it is what it is.
Yeah, they got a bigger game against the Sharks tomorrow night. It looks like Tuukka might be back from his concussion. There hasn't been like an official word yet, but that's kind of what it's looking like.
Yep, looks that way. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I know we've talked before, but it's going to be an up and down year for them. A lot of young guys. They're obviously going to make mistakes, which is fine. So just learn from it.
Goes with the territory.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I do find myself sometimes like, yelling at the TV, and then I got to like remind myself they're young,
Right. That's the hard part. You're like, what are you doing?
Right.
You just want to see an effort. You don't want to see you don't want to see nothing out of them. And that game against Buffalo was a prime example of just not having your head in the game and it mattered the most. Stuff like that's got to get cleaned up.
Yeah, that ticked me off. I think it was Pasternak after the game. They asked him what happened. He's like, "Oh, I think we just stopped playing." I'm like, "What?"
Well, at least he was honest.
Yeah.
Didn't tell him that much.
Right. But yeah, just like thinking about that, you're like, "Are you kidding me?" It's gotta be tough. I mean, obviously, we've never played professional sports, so when it snowballs like that, it's probably tough to stop.
Right. They'll get it together. I mean, it's going to take a few years, but I'm not really concerned about it. I'm just going along. I kind of expected what was going to be going on this year with them, so.
Yeah, absolutely. So, can't wait for game tomorrow, the Bruins and Celtics tomorrow night too against the Bucks. That should be a good game down in Milwaukee.
Oh, yeah.
Try to get some revenge against them for last week.
Right, that's a good team right there.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be there. They'll probably be in the playoffs with us.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable about seeing them in the playoffs.
Right. So
just gonna see what happens and hope for the best with them.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely go check us out, www.diehardbostonsportsfans.com. You can get our merchandise at the Postal Center USA in Lee, New Hampshire. Tell Eli we sent you. Find us on Facebook at Die Hard Boston Sports Fans. Also, we got a Facebook group as well. Just search for that same name, Die Hard Boston Sports Fans. You can join us. Going to be playing on a lot of events, trying to like go to games and stuff together coming up. So,
also page too.
Yep, page as well. Where can they find you on Twitter, Chris?
Chris the Hood 420.
Yeah, we got a company one, Die Hard Boss Fans, and my personal ones. We play for titles. Thanks again to Adam for coming on tonight. We definitely appreciate it.